Recording in progress.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone to this first May 3rd meeting of the Redevelopment Commission. First order of business is the approval of minutes from our April 9th meeting.
Mr. President, perhaps we need to do a roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
First.
My fault. Thank you.
Mr. Lane,
Sorry, online.
Mr. File, back from Florida, Mr. Goble,
Here.
Mr. Jordan.
Here,
And Mr. Horvath.
again, thank you, Mr.
Here virtually.
Okay, let the record show that Mr. Horvath is appearing virtually and has his video on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now we'll approve the minutes from April 9th.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, changes? Hearing none?
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. File? Aye. Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
And Mr. Horvath.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So the next item in your packet is the opening of bids. I believe we have one bid for the St. Joe Energy Center Water Treatment Plant Project Phase 2 expansion.
Good morning. I'm Samantha Smirka-Rushlang with DLZ Indiana. We have one bid from LD DOSA. LD DOSA's bid is for the total amount of $15,597,000. That is 15597,000.00.
Mr. President, I'd ask that you take that bid under advisement to allow the engineering team to review, and then we'll come back later in the agenda to make a decision whether we award or do not award.
Thank you. Is there a motion to review? Motion.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? None?
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. File? Aye. Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
And Mr. Horvath.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Economic Development Area updates.
Yes, we have a PowerPoint up before you is resolution number 2024-06, a budget amendment. We last month, or on March 26th, closed on three bonds, and that money has been put back into the original TIFs from which the reimbursements came, and we are asking for that money to be reappropriated. So in allocation area number 1, you can see that we have total available in that fund $4,609,451.53. At this point, we're only asking to reappropriate the bond proceeds from reimbursements totaling $2,707,949, putting $2 million in consultants and contractual services and $707,949 in the economic development line item. In NCEDA allocation area number 2, there is $3,122,159.47 available. Again, we are only asking for a reappropriation of the reimbursements of those bond proceeds, with $1,039,872 going into consultants and contractual services, and $1,600,000 going into economic development. Also closed on the Honeysuckle bond of $3 million in the redevelopment general fund, and are asking for $10,000 to be in publication of legal notices. This is not a line item that we have normally budgeted for. We have usually just had infrequent bids that we put out that the larger IPG budget could assume, but with all of the work that's going on, we'd like to be able to pay for our own legal notices. And then $37,500 has already been paid. This bond was structured so rather than having annual trustee payments, they were all front-loaded and paid at once, so that was paid at time of closing. So we need to allocate that into the line item that had to pay it. And then $1 million in consultants and contractual, and $1,952,500 in economic development. and I am happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? No. Is there a motion to approve Resolution 2024-06?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Hearing none. Mr. Garrett?
Motion and a second, Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. File? Aye. Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Yes.
And Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So I'm going to ask that we skip item 4BI1 right now. That's the bid award or bid recommendation, and then we'll come back to that at the end of the agenda if we can, please. The next item on the agenda is a professional service agreement. This is on-call agreement, services agreement number 4 for 2024 with Lawson Fisher Associates. Over the past several years, we've been doing on-call service agreements at a not-to-exceed amount of $75,000. These on-call service agreements have been specific to the New Carlisle Economic Development Area to cover work with GM, with AWS, and with other potential prospects, whether it's survey work, whether it's legal review work, whether it's other specific work. That's what the on-call agreements have been used in the past. Sometimes we have very immediate needs, so we need to move forward with things. Specifically right now, as part of the GM development agreement, we have certain obligations to help with platting and subdivision of the property. That's largely what this on-call agreement will be for, is for related services related to those pieces of work, dedication of right-of-way, and other related things to the GM project. So I would ask for your approval for this on-call service agreement to Lawson Fisher Associates in a not-to-exceed amount of $75,000. If there's any questions, I would be happy to answer them.
Hearing no questions, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Garrett?
Motion and a second, Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. File?
Aye.
Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
And Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
Motion carries.
This one's an exciting one. This is one that we've been working on for a long time, so it's also kind of a biggie, so we're going to talk through this one. This is a professional service proposal with Lockmuller Group Incorporated for design and inspection services related to the Larison Road, State Road 2 intersection. So over the last several months, we've been working with, the Lockmuller Group has been working with NDOT and with other partners, trying to put together a traffic model for an ultimate interchange or intersection improvement at State Road 2 in Larison. With the announcement of AWS last week and with the work at GM and with the existing traffic loads, there is a need to do a major intersection project at this location. So the proposal before you today is going to be broken up into a couple of pieces. What we're asking for today is to do the pre-work. A lot of this has not been done yet, but a lot of it is the topographic work, the compaction work, some of the pre-design work that will go into the ultimate construction of a diverging diamond interchange at this intersection. Again, we're still working through a process where we get
Oh, I forgot to change that.
final concurrence on what this intersection will look like. But we're still working with NDOT. We hope to have final concurrence by middle to end of June, be in a contract negotiation with NDOT on funding and for the allocation of resources and for a scoping of how the project will move forward. As you can see on the first page of the memorandum, there's kind of a timeline of how the project would go. If we start with this today, we can get through topo and some of the design work, be at a point where we could be out to bid by later this year, into a letting early next year, so that we could be into construction in 2025 and through 2026, and ultimately have the project done. I would like to see it done into 2026, but the reality is it's probably going to be 2027 by the time it's done. So the first phase of the contract, what we're asking for is your approval of the first phase, and there's a total scope listing in the Appendix D of the project contract, but it's $1,485,500, and that would be the initial design work. Now, as we'd actually move forward through the contract, the total contract for Phase 2 would be a not-to-exceed amount of $6,258,575 for a total design and inspection contract of $7,744,075. Now, what we'd like to do is just approve the first phase of this contract today. As we work through the project, it's our anticipation that Phase 2 of the project cost could be rolled into the larger fund stack of revenue that would be put towards the construction project. So an opportunity for the county not to have to absorb the rest of the cost, but the project itself absorb the rest of the cost. So we'd ask for your favorable favorable approval of this contract today. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Where are they located? What's their?
The Lockmuller Group, about a block and a half to the east of us. So they're in the old Wells Fargo building. Now, they have offices all over the state of Indiana, but the office that we would be working with would be the local office.
Any other questions? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Any other discussion? Hearing none?
Motion
Garrett?
and a second. Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. File?
Aye.
Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
And Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
Motion carries.
The next item on the agenda then would be, in the AM General Economic Development area, would be an on-call agreement, number 1 with Lawson Fisher Associates. Over the last several months, we've been working with a prospect, and actually several prospects, along the Capitol Avenue corridor. So we've got a contract open right now for Capitol Avenue corridor master plan. We've got an open contract on Douglas Road to do roadway improvements. We've got an open contract for a sewer project, the Northeast Trunk Sewer Project up along Capitol Avenue. We just did a Chrissy grant, MOU to help fund a Chrissy grant to look at rail opportunities along Capitol Avenue. As we look at that, a lot of that work sits outside of the AM General Economic Development area. So one of the things that we need to do is have a conversation about expanding the AM General Economic Development area up Capitol Avenue, likely to capture St. Joe Farms and the St. Joe Farms area, as well as some of these other areas. The new economic development area, or it wouldn't be a new economic development area, it'd be a new leg of the EDA. And we'd still need to work through how TIF allocation areas sit within that area and everything. So what we'd like to do is do an on-call agreement to do survey services. This contract would also do some field survey work for Patriot Rail, or in coordination with Patriot Rail, the group doing the Chrissy grant. As we look at doing the design work, the Chrissy grant requires 10% engineering work be done as part of the grant application. So there's some specific field work that has to be done along Capitol Avenue and McKinley and Current to make sure that the track could actually bend through and navigate through a whole series of overhead power lines and power easements and things like that. So what we'd ask for is a not-to-exceed amount of $35,000 to do all that work. We don't anticipate that we're going to hit that amount, but we'd like that amount open. We know that the AM General EDA designation is going to take a lot of coordination. There's a lot of legal survey work that has to be done with that. So we would ask for your approval of this on-call agreement to do that scope of work, please.
Any discussion? No? Is there a motion to approve the
So
on-call
moved.
agreement?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. File?
Aye.
Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
And Mr. Horvath?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So the last thing, before we get to the other thing, and I want to pass out a map here.
Thank you.
Ben, I apologize, we passed out a map, and we'll circulate that to you later. Had I thought ahead, we would have put that up on the screen. What we have before you today is Resolution 2024-07. Earlier in the meeting today, you approved appropriation of funds from the Honeysuckle project for future use for fiber projects and work related to the Southwest Fiber Conduit Loop. What this is Resolution 2024-07, is a resolution approving funds and authorizing funds for installation of the first leg of work. So this would be a conduit installation project in partnership with the town of North Liberty. Town of North Liberty, as part of its work to extend water and sewer to Potato Creek, earlier or late last year, opened bids and awarded bids to a firm to do construction work. The firm is H&G Underground Utilities. They were the low bidder on the project. They're doing water and sewer to the park. As part of the work, they did an alternate where they would extend 12,150 linear feet of fiber conduit and 14 handholds and utility markers between Town North Liberty and Potato Creek as part of the work. So what we're asking for your approval to do is to authorize, of the funds we appropriated earlier, to authorize $108,000 to pay for that alternate bid work. So there's a map in the packet, but again, a little easier to see because it's hard to see on the aerials. So basically what we're asking for you to do is authorize expenditure of funds for the blue line, the big blue line along State Road 4. So just outside of the town limits, east to about the entrance of the park. That's where utilities will go into the park. So this will be empty conduit, so we won't have fiber in the conduit at this point in time, but we'll come back later once we complete conduit installation on State Road 4 and pull fiber through the whole corridor. But what we'd like to do is ask for your approval of that $108,000 to move this piece of the project ahead. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
The red lines that we show of the Southwest Fiber Conduit Extension, is that already completed?
No, so those dashed lines are the future pathway of the fiber. So we now have $3 million less $108,000 to do work. We anticipate that the remainder of the work, including pulling fiber through this piece of conduit, could exceed $4.5 to $5 million. So we're still short. And so we need to make some decisions on if we start building segments. This is a segment that opened up with an opportunity. It's always a little bit more cost-effective when the roads or the utility corridors are open to put conduit in. So that's why we're choosing to move forward with this section at this point in time.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Garrett?
Motion second, Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Pyle?
Aye.
Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Yes.
And Mr. Horvath.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I don't mean for this to seem overly dramatic, but we have received the notice from the engineering team. What I have here is the memo from DLZ. On May 3rd, 2024, at the St. Joseph County Redevelopment Commission special meeting, a total of one bid was received for the St. Joseph Energy Center Water Treatment Plant Phase 2 expansion project. LD DOSA Associates in the amount of $15,597. $15 million. It's all about reading the right numbers with commas. $15,597,000 was the sole bidder. It is recommended that the St. Joseph County Redevelopment Commission award the bid for the St. Joseph County Energy Center Water Treatment Plant Phase 2 expansion project to LD DOSA Associates Incorporated, who is the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. Staff would ask for your approval, please.
Any questions of Mr. Shalio or our team?
Is it typical that you only get one bid on something like that?
For something like this, yes. In this particular case, we had gone through a process where we had bid it before, we didn't receive any bids, so this is the second time through the process and have received one bid. We've seen the work that this company does. We're very excited about this being the bidder for this project, so.
Do you have some guidelines from past projects with them about their price per hour and that kind of thing?
Yeah, the DLZ has been working and gathered that information, so yes. we're
So
comfortable.
you can show some put something that goes with what they've charged before per hour instead of a lot more?
Yep.
Okay.
This is within the engineer's estimates as far as where we believe the project needed to be, so we're comfortable with the number.
Yeah, I think it meet our architectural estimates, but I see there's E-Verify in here. That's good.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. That's one of the requirements we have to have, yes.
I think we went through this before. I motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. File?
Aye.
Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
And Mr. Horvath.
Aye.
Motion carries.
So there's no new business that I'm aware of,
No.
so we will move to the public comment portion of the meeting. If anyone would like to speak before the commission, you have a 3-minute limitation. Please use your name and address, and you're welcome to come to the podium or online, raise your hand, and we'll address you. Someone?
Good morning. Tony Hazen, Third District Commissioner. I just want to come up and say thank you for the allocation of the money from the honeysuckle. Since I've been involved, I've been down in the south part of the county quite a bit, and that's probably the biggest concern is broadband. I think it's going to have a positive effect. Well, I know it's going to have a positive effect on that district, and I think everyone down there will be happy when they hear the news. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone online that would like to speak? I don't see any hands up. Okay. Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
Is there a second?
Second. Motion and a second. Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. File?
Aye.
Mr. Goble?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye,
And Mr. Horvath.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
thank you.
Recording stopped.
You know